Hi, welcome everyone. Just as a reminder, today we will have a 30 to 40 minute webinar with some Q&A at the end. This will be recorded and emailed out after the webinar, along with a form to fill out for a certificate for professional development. Please give us about 2 business days or so to get that out there to you. As you're joining us in the chat, please set your chat to everyone and leave questions for any of us in the panel here today in the question and answer section. Closed captions are enabled, and we will have a giveaway at the end for anyone that is hanging out with us for the entire webinar. So I see a bunch of you are introducing yourselves in the chat, so please do so, so that we can all interact throughout the day. And again, just remember to set your chat to everyone. Our agenda for today's session is talking about the making of a Bolt Plus, how you can use Bolt Plus in the classroom, and Bolt Plus and the new Sphero EDU updates that go along with Bolt Plus, and also how you can get your hands on the brand new Bolt Plus. My name is Brad Fessler. I'm the Professional Development Manager here at Sphero, and I'd like to introduce Nate.
Hey everyone, my name is Nate Ubowski. I am a Senior Product Manager at Sphero, and I was the product manager that oversaw the Bolt Plus development. So I'm really excited to be here with you all today to share about our development process and one of our newest and most exciting classroom tools. So I'm going to kick it off. We're gonna talk about the making of Bolt Plus from the perspective of a product manager, but also as a former educator, and what that means for your use of our product in the classroom. So one of the things we've been doing at Sphero for about 14 years now is making spherical robots, hence the name Sphero. Now, when you think about that longevity of being able to make robots for that long, you would think it was always going to be something that was just an easy feat. But if you look at our original Bolt robot to our Bolt Plus robot, while they're very similar in shape and form, that was actually a ground-up redevelopment from a technical perspective. When we started to evaluate the firmware and the code that went into the robot, the components, all of those pieces, we wanted to really reevaluate how we approach making a product for the classroom. So I'm going to start with a little bit of some of our high-level features of what we've done with Bolt Plus and how it can apply to your classroom. So first and foremost, the most obvious difference between the original Bolt and our new Bolt Plus is we have a new 128 by 128 pixel LCD display. This display has the ability to do a myriad of things, from projecting animations like what you see on here. This little penguin has kind of become the little mascot of Bolt Plus because it's the best animation in my opinion. We also have over 650 images and animations you can program as part of your students' programs. And on that display, you can also print text and show sensor data in real time. Now, the other thing we've heard is kids like RGB everything. Well, we all like it, RGB everything. The computers and cars, everything has RGB lights. So we added more LEDs around the circuit board. So there are now 6 LEDs that are all programmable within the Sphero EDU app. One of the other features that we added with the Bolt Plus is we added a charging indicator on the top of the circuit board so that when you place your robot into the cradle or inside of a power pack, you know that that robot is actually charging, whether if that light turns on or not. Now, we took a lot of what we loved about Bolt and kept it. And so there are a few features here that we've kept inside of Bolt Plus and maintained the same. Starting with our infrared communications. So around the robot, some of you probably have seen a Bolt robot before. There's these little like spider eyeball looking things around the corners. Those are the infrared sensors and emitters. And those allow the robots to do robot-to-robot communication. Or if you have some of our other products like Little Bits or a Rover Plus, you can actually communicate between those as well. The other feature that we kept in place and made sure we improved from the software side was the ambient light sensor. This is the ability to for the robot to understand the light intensity of the room or the environment that it's in and be able to use that information as a part of a program at some point. And then, last but not least, all of the good stuff that makes the robot move, that makes the robot understand its place in space, is the 6-axis IMU. It's going to be measuring the accelerometer and gyroscope data. It's going to be working with the locator data to help the robot understand where it is when it's rolling around in your classrooms. Now, all of these features and all of these things are a lot of fun to really get into. But one of the things I love to highlight about our spherical robots is when we started making robots for the classroom, we started making them clear because we wanted to have a little bit of a curiosity that's piqued. Those kids look inside and say, oh, I wonder what that thing does. And inside the Sphero EDU app, my favorite feature by far is the ability to see an exploded view of the robot. And Brad, if you press play, I forgot to pull the looping GIF in, but this is going to show you the video or the animation that shows up inside of the app. And you can actually pause it and capture what all the pieces and all the components on the inside of the robot are. Like I said, we took a lot of what we knew about how robots were used in the classroom, and we wanted to improve that classroom experience as much as we could as well. So we took the power pack from the original Bolt and kept the same format, but we did a few things to make the design a little bit easier for classroom. So first and foremost, we added an educator guide, and inside of the lid of the power pack, there's actually a slot for that educator guide to live. So now you can take that with you if your classroom travels or if your robots travel from classroom to classroom. Corresponding to those, that educator guide is also 20 challenge cards. The 20 challenge cards are really awesome programs or challenges for your kids to do some really quick and easy programs and get themselves comfortable with the programming canvas and with how Bolt Plus works. And as a carryover from what we did with the original Bolt, we have maze tape in there. We have the turbo covers, which help provide grippy surface on tile or protection if you're doing something maybe on concrete. And we also added back in the 15 protractors. The protractors are a little different in the Bolt Plus power pack because on the back side, they're multicolored, so you can use them for targets or different programming challenges. And they're also numbered 1 through 15. So you can use those as different content iterations for things like algorithms, doing some kind of equations with math. You can just use them as stops on a journey and they can measure things out. Some really cool ways to play with those protractors. And all of that, the best part about the Power Pack is it's one plug to charge all of the robots. So you don't have to worry about 15 independent USB cables to charge all the robots. You just have to plug one thing into the wall. So you can see here, there's a picture of what the Power Pack looks like now. It's kind of like Bolt went dark mode. Everything is black and blue, which I love. But here's a few of our best practices for the Bolt Plus Power Pack. So the first thing that you're going to want to pay attention to is with the new Bolt Plus, the cradle itself is actually a Qi wireless charging protocol. So it has a little bit of a different behavior from our previous Bolt robots. And the one thing you're going to want to make sure that you do is that you need to set the robot in as level as possible. And you have a second or two to kind of wiggle it to make sure that charging light turns on. The reason why is with the Qi wireless charging is if it doesn't get a good signal or a handshake right off the bat, it actually turns on foreign object detection, meaning it thinks that there's something not right in the charger. If you have a Qi wireless charging dock on your desk or in your house, you may have seen something like that before where it doesn't quite make that connection and flashes at you. A few other best practices you'll notice is you're just going to want to charge the robots before you use them. So the day before you're going to use them, charge them up overnight. This next bullet point, I can't even stress how beautiful this next bullet point is. We've taken all of the power management away from your responsibility. We have tried to build the battery life and the power management system of the Bolt Plus robot so that you don't have to think about what your robots are doing with their battery life. How that works is once you charge a robot all the way, it's fully charged and it turns off completely. So the robot will turn off and won't really discharge any of the battery until, I mean, it's something like a year and a half. It would take about a year and a half for it to fully drain the battery just by sitting in the off position. So that means if you were to plug in right before a winter break, you're gone for 2 weeks, your robots are going to be basically full when you come back from that break and ready to go. Another piece of the power management that we've taken care of for you is that if you leave a robot on a charging cradle and you charge it all the way, that charging cradle will actually stop charging the robot and it will turn off so that you can't charge it anymore or trigger another life cycle. For some of you that have been lifelong Sphero users, you may be familiar with our Spark Plus robot from over 7 years ago, and the battery life on that was not very ideal. So we've done a lot to really build out that power management story to make it better for the classroom for you all. Now, the other cool thing about the Bolt Plus is we've tried to put that robot ID in a couple different places. So number one, we have a laser etched robot ID on what I call the license plate. It looks like it's a license plate on the backside of the car. It's actually the backside of the screen that you can see in some of the close-up images. The other thing that's really nice, and Brad, if you'll just show the next video, is the robot ID shows up when you shake the robot. And so you know which robot you're connecting to. So in our previous robots, we've always employed what we called the Harry Potter method, where you try and get really close and figure out which robot lights up, and you take that one. With the Bolt Plus, we have a new paradigm, a new way for you to connect with your power pack, and we call it the take and shake method. So you just have students grab a robot from the power pack, they take it back to their desk, and they shake it to turn it on. And that robot's going to show up on that connection list immediately. This is really, really handy for the classroom or the schools that have lots of robots. Because when you have a bunch of Bolt or Spark Plus robots, anytime the Bluetooth's on, it's on for everyone. So this takes away some of that difficulty. Pardon me. And a few other pieces that we just like to recommend and highlight is that we always recommend, excuse me, a 2-to-1 student to robot ratio. So when you're working with your classrooms, we really love to see kids collaborate and work together. That can take a lot of different ways and different modalities, but what I really try to employ and what I try to promote is the idea of pair programming. And this is a very conscious thing that a teacher needs to employ in the classroom and not just trust students to do it. If you're not familiar with parent programming, it's one of the best practices in CS education. And it's really, really valuable to see kids work together while they're doing pair programming. A few other pieces that's really nice and really important to pay attention to is I always give my students time for play and invention whenever I'm introducing the robots to students. Specifically with a new robot like Bolt Plus, that screen is really, really fun to play with. When we were in the classrooms testing out the robots with fourth and seventh graders, one of the most commonly experienced things was once kids found that they could change the image of their robot and have it be the standby image, they spent like 5 to 10 minutes trying to find the right image for their robot while they're playing around with it. So it's a really fun time for them. Great customization and a way to personalize the robot experience for them. But just keep that in mind. You might have to either rein them in if you're giving them too much time or if they're spending too much time on it. But be mindful of what they want to do and kind of let them have some curiosity around it. And the other thing that I like to pay attention to when I'm doing something with the robots with my classrooms is to think about, am I going to need space for the robots to move around, or am I going to do something that's maybe more tabletop programming? The nice thing with the new LCD display on the Bolt Plus is that tabletop programming now becomes a really interesting experience because you have this screen that they can interact with through programming, but it's not a screen like their phone that they're going to be distracted by and trying to change all the time. So it's one of those pieces that's really great to think about how you're going to use the robot before you get the Power Pack opened up with your class. And I'm going to pass it off to Brad. He's going to talk a little bit about kind of what that looks like in the classroom with Bolt Plus, some of our offerings, and some ideas around content.
All right, thanks, Nate. One of the new additions to the Bolt Plus Power Pack is a set of challenge cards. It includes 20 double-sided cards that include a starter program that the students build. Then there's a problem-solving step and time for them to kind of go beyond that and play around with that. These cards are really, really nice, and we'll look at them in more detail here in just a moment. But they're also included in the educator guide is a way to implement the use of those challenge cards. So it helps the educator kind of, here are methods to implement these with your students in your classroom. One of the great things about the challenge cards is it gets the students programming right away, and it keeps them on task. If they finished up a different lesson, you can give them another challenge card and like keep them on task and doing something productive and maybe, you know, a little more on task throughout their classroom time. So here's an example of one of the challenge cards. This is challenge card number 12. It is titled Data Ball. And what this particular challenge card does is it has students display sensor data right on the screen. Previously, you could see sensor data on your programming device. Now you can not only see it on the programming device, but you can also see it right on the robot itself, which is really awesome. You can get that instantaneous feedback. You can kind of start your program, set the device to the programming device to the side, and get that instantaneous feedback right on the screen, which is really cool. So in this example, students are turning off their stabilization, turning on the display, and in this case, it's showing the total accelerometer data. They can then problem solve by running the program, looking at the display, and then moving Bolt around. So give it a shake, see when the G-forces change. And then in step 3, the play step, they're able to change the orientation of the display sensor block. They're able to change the different sensors that are being displayed and maybe test some other type of force with theirs. So it's really pretty cool that they can jump right in there and check that out. The cool thing with these challenge cards is they are available not only in the Power Pack printed for you, ready to go, but they're also available online where you can go in and download them and see them as a PDF file, so you can use them even if you don't have a power pack. So inside the educator guide, I had mentioned that there's steps that you can use to help implement the use of these. So here is an example from the educator guide for that same challenge card, and it gives you an explanation of what the students should be seeing, what they're discovering as they're kind of exploring what those individual challenge cards are. Cool thing with the challenge cards, um, they can be used at many different grade levels. They can go, from very, very basic of like, let's use a roll block and get the robot moving, up into way more complex experiments for the students. All right. So one of the new things that we have deployed within our ecosystem is something called Sphero Central. And Sphero Central is our one-stop shop for Sphero content. If you've been around with us for a long time, you may know that you have to go to different places depending on what kind of device or Sphero product you might have. That is a thing of the past. It is all in one location. So I'm going to give you a quick demo of what Sphero Central looks like and how we can use Sphero Central to find content. Zoom in a little bit, make this a little more Zoom friendly for us. All right, so when we go into Sphero Central, in order to get to Sphero Central, you go to edu.sphero.com in a web browser. This is teacher facing, so we encourage you to do this on an actual computer device, not necessarily a phone or a mobile device. You don't need our app. You just open up your web browser and jump right into that edu.sphero.com. From here, you can choose any of our products that are up here. So today we're talking about Bolt Plus. So I'll click on the Bolt Plus, Rover Plus Mini category. And from here, we have a bunch of getting started materials in here about how to use the app, connect it and get it moving right away, program, some management tips, and of course, all those different lessons and resources that are in here. We'll jump to the lessons first. Inside of lessons, we implemented earlier something called collections. And collections are exactly that. They're collections of different lessons that we have kind of curated on certain topics. So here you can see we support Bolt Plus, Bolt, Rover and Rover Plus, as well as Mini. So all of our programmable robots are right inside of this same category. Even though I know it says Bolt Plus, Rover Plus, and Mini in there, it still supports all of our other programmable robots in one location. So with those collections, you can kind of scroll down and see all the different collections. We are adding new collections and more collections all the time. So keep revisiting Sphero Central so you can find those different collections. So with Bolt Plus, one of the fun ones near and dear to my heart is engineering design. I'm a former technology and engineering teacher, so this is my favorite collection out of all of them, but there's lots of great lessons all throughout Sphero Central. So when you go into a collection, you can see there's all kinds of different lessons that are in here, and you can pick different lessons and explore all of those different ones. So I'll jump into this lesson, and you can get a preview of that lesson so you can see exactly what students will be working with. This one is a Bolt powered car, or in this case, Bolt Plus powered car. So you can see there's all kinds of fun iterations our content team built throughout this one to see what you can do with that, with using Bolt as your engine for your creation here. So what you're seeing is a preview of what the students will actually see. If there's a linked program, you'll see a linked program here. It's that starter program to get you going. And one of the other things I like to point out here is the lesson code. And lesson codes are a quick, easy way to get your students or other participants into that particular lesson, right? So every single lesson has a lesson code. Even if it's not one of ours, if you create one of your own lessons in there, it is assigned a lesson code. So you can send your students there right to that lesson. That's super helpful and important if you're using Sphero EDU, the app, without a login, right? You can use any of the features within the Sphero EDU app without a login if you want to, just by using that Let's Code button and then give the students that lesson code. So really pretty cool in here. You'll notice at the top of that, there was an assign button, so I could assign that to my class if I wanted to and get that out there. So those are collections. You can filter them by robot and by grade bands. We also have all of our Sphero lessons, even if they're not in a collection here. And the cool part about this is there's tons and tons of lessons in here. There's lessons for pretty much every subject area. You can jump in and jig through these again. You can filter by robot or grade band, but you can also search, which is really cool. Sticking with my engineering theme, one of my favorites is hydrohypothesis. And I bring this up because just like the previous version of Bolt, Bolt Plus is waterproof, so you can use it in the water. So there's all kinds of water activities in there. And while I'm talking about Bolt and Bolt Plus, I just want to iterate here that Bolt Plus is backwards compatible with anything that Bolt could do. So if you have your favorite Bolt lesson, go ahead and use that same Bolt lesson. There is one little caveat to that. Bolt Plus does not have a magnetometer, so if you use the lesson that uses a magnetometer, you're not going to be able to use that feature with Bolt Plus. But everything else is backwards compatible. So if you have a favorite lesson that you already like to use, go ahead and use that in there. We do also have community lessons, so you can make your own lesson and gladly share that, and make that public if you want, and it will show up in that community lessons usually within a day or two. It's on there and ready to go. I saw a question come up that you have an Ollie dark side, and are there still lessons in here that are compatible? There are all kinds of lessons for all of our devices still in here. You can find things that will work with Ollie, even though we don't have a filter in here for Ollie. You can find lessons in here that are compatible with Ollie or easily modified to use with Ollie. As far as backwards compatibility, you can do any Bolt lesson with Bolt Plus. So any of those Bolt lessons that are really fun, go ahead and jump in there and do those with your new Bolt Plus. So that is Sphero Central. Sphero Central is our newest addition to looking at some of that organization for content. As far as content goes for Bolt Plus, we have all kinds of cool lessons that are available at launch. We have our programming core here. So we have programming 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0. They build upon each other, adding more complexity and more skills for students. These are a great way to get your students, computer science students, working with Bolt Plus and building on their programming skills in a fun, hands-on kind of way. Some of the other lessons that are available, you might have seen some of these when we were exploring the Sphero Central platform, but we do have an engineering design challenge section where there's all kinds of fun engineering design challenge lessons. We have elementary ELA as well as a middle school game design category there. So here we can see some of those lessons in a little more detail. We saw the Bolt Plus powered vehicle. Here we're using in this example image, we're using our blueprint build kit to build a Bolt powered car. So the only power source here, or the engine for this, is the Bolt Plus. You can see you can add some fun, cool things to that display. So here we have our checkered flag, so we could have our students build our cars and then race them, which is really pretty fun. In that ELA category, we have all kinds of fun ones. This particular image comes out of the Bolt Plus Sets the Scene lesson. So we're talking about story structure and setting the scene of a particular part of a story. In our middle school game design, we have the Random Dice Are Nice lesson. And here we can see in this animation, you can shake Bolt and it will randomly generate a number and show the associated die. Or you can use one of the really cool new software features called a software button, where you actually press a button on the screen while the program is running, and it will randomly pull that number or pull that random number and get that ready to display for you. Also, we have just launched season 5 of the Sphero Global Challenge. This year's theme is Time Travel Odyssey for Bolt. And Bolt Plus can be used for any of the Bolt events. Do know that for Sphero Global Challenge, we have Indy, Bolt, as well as RVR Plus or RVR that can be used for different challenges here. So we have an upper elementary for Bolt, which is grades 3 through 5, as well as a middle school, grades 6 through 8 for those Bolt challenges. And at this point, I'm going to hand it back over to Nate to talk about some of our new Bolt Plus software features that I kind of spilled the beans on a little bit there for you. So go ahead and take it away.
Yeah, it's all right. You gave a little tease on what we have to share. So when you have a robot that is controlled and programmable, you need to have software that's going to control it and program it. And so our software team has put in an immense amount of work to make sure that the software experience in programming Bolt Plus is even better than it's ever been before. So the first couple of features that I want to highlight is the first thing is the drive screen. So in the past, you've been able to drive with the robots, no harm, no foul. However, this time, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, you can now customize a standby display image that can be on your Bolt Plus. So when your robots are rolling around the room, everyone can customize and personalize the image there to their liking, as well as the LED colors as well. So it's just another classroom management tool that you can have kids identify their robot quickly and keep things moving in the classroom. Next up, we have what I love to point out, which is we have allowed a new mode of aiming, which we are calling manual aim. In the past, with all of our robots, to aim the robot, you would use the app and you would use a little circle on the a little dot on the circle and drag it around until your bolt was facing the right way. Well, because of the display and the ability to have an image up there at all times or text up there, we have the ability to know which way our robot is facing. So now you can just have the robot on the ground and it doesn't stabilize in place anymore. And the wheels are locked until you start a program or you're driving it around. So now you can actually just place the robot and aim it any way you want to go. And when you start your program, it will reset the yaw or the aim for the robot when it starts. The software aiming is still available if you're used to it and you just love to do it, but we do have that new manual aim mode for sure. The next one is the simplified blocks. So we see a lot of the uses of Sphero from the most basic of just driving around to some of the most complex physics lessons in a high school. But one of the things that we've heard from teachers and students is that there are just so many blocks and they don't know what they do. So we've actually tried to reduce some of the complexity of the programming canvas by reducing the amount of blocks that are automatically visible when you open up a program. So we simplified the canvas And we have these arrows that can expand and detract all of the commands within a category. And it does it just by category, so you don't have to worry about finding that block when you open up the program the next time, because once you expand it and use a block, it'll show up there the next time. The next feature on the software side of things is all of the blocks that we have to use. Now, I think last time I counted, it's around 15, depending on how you count them. But I just want to highlight a few really cool aspects here. So the first block I put up there is probably the most commonly requested feature that we've had since I started almost 6 years ago, which was the ability to roll a robot to a specific location, to a specific distance. Now, we were able to do this with Rover Plus when we launched that about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. And now we can do it with Bolt Plus. So you can roll Bolt Plus to a certain distance, and within about a 1% to 3% accuracy range, you'll be able to get it there, which is amazing. We also have a new mode in the programming canvas, which is called driving on or driving off. So you can actually enable driving within a program. So imagine you're trying to get the ambient light values of the room that you're in. You can actually have the robot looking for that data while you're programming it. It's while you are driving it around. So it's programmed to sense the data, and it's also driving. We have new LED commands for the left and the right side of the robots. We have 6 new event blocks, if you want to count them that way. So the first one is on total distance. We also have an on time elapsed event block, which is using seconds in duration. We have a button block, which Brad was talking about. So if you think about almost like a microbit or a Nintendo controller, how there's always 2 buttons and you want to be able to control them. Well, you can do that within the software side of things now. Inside the Sphero EDU app, you can program 3 different buttons per program, and each of those buttons will do something. We have a new ambient light block for events, which will tell you not only what the ambient light value is of the environment you're in as you're programming it, but you can set that to be greater than or less than. On the next slide is all about our display. So we have 5 or 6 new blocks all about how you can program the display. So displaying an image, you can see on the left-hand side, a lot of those images are emojis or things that are similar to emojis. But there's also a lot of really neat things related to life cycles. We thought a lot about how teachers would be using the robot in the classroom and tried to find images and animations that would tie to what kids are doing in the classroom. The display animation, same kind of pop-up that you'll see. The thing I love to highlight about these 2 specific blocks is not only are they categorized by different genres or categories, I guess, is what you would say. But you can also star a image, which means it will be starred inside that program. And you can do a search for it. So if you wanted to search for penguin, the penguin will pop up. The next one is the display box for the text. So we have 2 different text modes that you can enable. One is a large font and one is a small font. And it will tell you line by line how many characters and how many lines you can put together to display text on that LCD display. There's the clear display block, which just clears the display. You can rotate the display, meaning you can take any image and you can actually spin it around through programming. And then the last one is you can display sensor data. And there's 7 different sensors that you can just drop down from and display on the screen at any time. Now, I saw a question in there that asked, are these blocks all for Bolt Plus, or will they be available for Bolt as well? And the answer is, because we redesigned everything with Bolt Plus from the firmware up, these are all features that are only available in Bolt Plus and not in Bolt. So that is one of the nice things that you'll see.
Nate, one of the things that I hear as people are seeing the new Bolt Plus is, how does the LCD display differ from the LED matrix that was there? Like, what are the different capabilities between those 2 things?
Yeah, so backwards compatible. The matrix, anything that you could do on the matrix with the original Bolt, you can do with the Bolt Plus. which is neat. But a couple of the limitations that you would have with the matrix that are kind of alleviated with the screen now. Number one is there's no more complicated programming in order to get the matrix to scroll sensor data. So you would have to put about 3 to 5 blocks out on your canvas in order to get data to scroll on your matrix display. And it's slow, it's not very responsive, whereas the screen just prints that text instantly with that display sensor block. A couple other features is the ability to customize all of the text in one frame at a time, as opposed to being able to only project one character in dots, kind of like a news ticker on the old Matrix. And the animations we have loaded and the images we've loaded onto the robot, those are actually all loaded into the robot's memory, meaning they live on the robot. So when you program with one of those blocks, those commands pull that image instantly. And with the matrix on the original Bolt, anytime you add a matrix animation to your program, it takes a minute for the program to translate all of that data over to the robot before that program starts. So just a few differences. We just really wanted to alleviate some of the difficulties of using some of the text and some of the sensor data that we previously were able to use with the matrix, but not quickly. And
thank you for sharing.
next one. Yeah, next one. So we saw a lot of these questions. So we're going to try and get to the end of this webinar and answer any lingering questions. But general pricing, just so you're aware, a Bolt Plus individual unit is about $199. To get a power pack, the 15 robots, the accessories, the educator guide, the one charging point for all 15 robots, that is $34.99. This is all US dollar. Now, when you're talking about the Bolt Plus upgrade program, we've heard from a lot of people that they have robots that maybe the batteries aren't working like they used to, or you want to be able to just upgrade because these are really cool. We do have a Bolt Plus upgrade program. It's been shared a couple times in the chat, but if Chris, maybe if you drop it in the chat again, what this looks like is if you have Spark Pluses, you can go to a Bolt Plus. We'll give you $50 per robot as a credit for Bolt Plus if you have Spark Pluses. If you have a Spark Plus Power Pack, we'll give you $840 for all the robots and the Power Pack unit in a credit for a Bolt Plus Power Pack. Now, if you have our Bolt robot, which was released about 6 years ago, you can go to the Bolt Plus with a $70 credit per robot if you have individuals, or if you have a power pack, it's $1,050 US dollars for an upgrade. So a really good opportunity to get those in. The other nice thing about this is we'll take care of the recycling of those robots. We'll get them into an electronics recycling program so that you don't have to worry about taking on that burden yourself. And let's see if there are any questions out there, Brad. We'll stick around and answer some questions.
All right, sounds good. Let's see. One of the questions which you briefly touched upon, is there any plans to add the ability to create custom images for the screen on Bolt Plus?
Yeah, this was one of those things that as a product manager, I actually really wanted to do. In the complications and the technicalities of it started to get really out of scope and out of possibility. The other problem that we ran into was giving students the flexibility to upload their own images into the robot turned into a doomsday scenario of headaches for teachers and administrators when we started thinking about what students may possibly do with that. So we tried to really give a ton of options instead of just a small amount or letting them upload their own. That's a great question, though.
Great. Thank you for that.
I'm going to answer this one real fast. Margaret asked, is there any reason to keep the original Bolt instead of trading it in? I mean, if you don't want your old ones, yes. But if you just want more robots, keep it and then get a Bolt Plus. More robots is always fun, as my kids always tell me.
One more that just popped up here. The Bolt Plus classroom set, or any of the Bolt Pluses, and you're using them on maybe a surface that might scratch it, how scratch resistant is that outer shell? And what can you do to minimize some of that scratching?
Yeah, that's a good point. So all of our robots are made with a super durable polycarbonate shell. They are not scratch proof, but they're durable. So you can run them around in a classroom. They'll get scuffed up and dinged up here and there. If you're running them on the blacktop on the playground, they're going to get really scuffed up. But if you're getting a power pack, you can get those turbo covers. If you want to do some stuff outside, those turbo covers provide a good layer of protection around the robots. You can use those turbo covers anywhere too, but they get scuffed up a little bit. But we did a lot of investigation into the scuffiness of the robots and the screen, and you can still see the screen through some pretty intense scuffs and scratches.
All right. Awesome, Nate. Well, thank you. And we're at that point that everyone's been patiently waiting for our giveaway. And Matt Marshall, congratulations. You have won a new Bolt Plus. Look for an email from us soon, reaching out to you for some of your contact information and to get that shipped out to you. As for everyone else, thank you so much for joining us today. And we just want to let you know that we have another webinar coming up on 10/2, and we're talking about cross-curricular learning using Bolt Plus. So thank you for joining us all today, and have a great day and have fun programming. We hope to see you
Thanks,
all.
everyone.